I'd like to welcome everybody to another edition of Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. And Coach, we're going to talk a little bit about last week's ball game. You kind of start off, I remember the last game I ever coached, we turned it over 6 times, and I made a comment in the paper, you can't beat the Sisters of the Poor if you turn it over. And that's kind of what happened at the beginning of the ball game.
Yeah, that doesn't ever help your cause. And the positive things that I saw was we were inside the 30-yard line, I think, on
moved it a lot.
Four out of our 5 first drives, and so we moved the ball really, really well, and then, did some things at the end of those drives that didn't necessarily help us and move forward positively. But, we haven't done that in a while as far as turn the ball over like that. So that was a little bit out of character. A couple miscommunication things on some route stuff, and they made a couple nice plays. To give them credit too. That's a good football team, but. I was excited about how well we moved the ball. Now, do we want to turn the ball over? Absolutely not. And we'll get that corrected. Why those things happen, I don't know. It's it's a frustrating thing.
I talked to you earlier in the season. I thought that's why we were really competitive, won a couple ball games in a row. We didn't turn the ball over, and we talked about in the past when you're trying to build this program at a Division II level, obviously it's a fine line, and when you're building it, you have to be good on special teams, and you can't turn the ball over, but when you do, it's a different ball of wax.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to overcome sometimes, especially, where we're at from an injury standpoint right now defensively. We're unfortunately going to give up some points at times, and so we've got to have a lot of things go right against a really good team like that for us to, be ahead at the end of the day, and we just didn't do enough things on Saturday.
But I saw a lot of, I had to listen because I got tied up with the Blue Springs games. But, I really thought Cook had another ball game, which meant your offensive line did some good things. And you had other people on the offensive side of the ball. Like you said, you moved the ball. And you don't like to always emphasize one person, but at least you become a more multiple dimensional. Sean, has kind of been the focus for most defenses throughout the year.
Yeah, we're able to do some different things now, and I thought we did a really nice job of spreading the ball around on Saturday too. Quentin Reiser has a really nice reverse to start the second half. I think it was the second play of the second half where he takes it for 65, 70 yards and sets up a score there coming out of halftime.
Well, he's got some quicks. He gives you some speed, on the edge.
And we had a lot of different guys catch the ball on Saturday, and Sean did a nice job again of spreading the ball around and got some. We put Phil and Carr out in the slot a couple times. We're able to get him.
You want to talk about that a little bit while you did that?
We've got good players, and you want to try and get them all on the field in some different situations, some different spots, and so we got him going in the slot a little bit, and we're able to connect on him with him down the field several times, and that was good.
Yeah, I think giving a lot of kids the opportunity too that could it not only in a situation like that when you're trying to build. I know Phil's an older kid that you have, but I think it's good that you put him in because he's really worked hard in the program. He is a program guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing some really good things right now, and we want to make sure we're using him in the right ways, and we just found another place where we could use him, and that was good. Not that he won't do some of the other things he's been doing, but you always try and find places for guys like that.
Well, it's pretty easy to talk about Cook, because he's been pretty consistent. I know that you talked about the other coaches saying, hey, you got a kid now that's really could be a difference maker, and I think we've got to really kind of look at him that way.
Yeah, he can do some things with the ball in his hands, and we've been getting the ball in his hands all year long, even though at the beginning of the year it was less of the thinking things and special teams and catching on punts and kickoff returns and those type of things, and then in the last 3-4 weeks progressing him into the backfield more, and that's been a good thing for us.
You bet. I also noticed you put Whitney back there a little bit H-back, fullback type thing, and we talked about that. Did we, probably in the future we may see a little bit more of that, right?
Yeah, he's a versatile guy too, and he took some snaps at tailback on Saturday too, just like he always will, and got a few carries there. But can play fullback, can move around a little bit at H, but he can flex him on some things. He's a big physical body that
good block
isn't scared of anything, and for guys like that, you'll take into battle every day.
Yeah, he does a real good job on blitz pickup. And that time. Offensive line wise, we see some improvement.
Yeah, we lost Brandon Kluwer now for the remainder of the season. Unfortunately, he wasn't with us on Saturday, and which allowed us to get some more guys. Jason Massey's finally, which is great. I'm so excited for him and his senior season finally
getting an opportunity.
Is getting healthy. He's been really beat up even coming into the season, and right now He's got a body that he knows can go a couple more weeks, and he got dinged a little bit again on Saturday, but it was good to see him in there and getting going again on Saturday too. So, at this point during the season, everybody's a little bit beat up, and the ones
particularly offensive linemen.
Yeah, and even the ones you're playing with are beat up, unfortunately. And we sure would love to be playing with a lot more guys right now. We've got 10 to 11 starters, guys that have started for us at one point during the season that weren't on the bus on Saturday. It was the least number of players that we've ever traveled since I've been a part of coaching. And, that is what it is, though. You can take a couple different approaches. You can sit and complain about it and wonder why, or you just get the next one ready and keep rolling, and that's what we've been working towards.
Yeah, one thing about football, it is what it is.
It is what it is, yep.
We'll get back to the second segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road, in just a second.
You're backing up those freshmen and sophomores with freshmen and sophomores.
Right.
So, I'm my own man. I can work from home. I can make meetings, I can make deadlines, I can make proposals, I can remember birthdays, I can entertain clients, I can pay for lunch. Yeah, I can do it 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:15, I can do anything. Done, on it, yes, taken care of. 50 two-sided bound color presentations by tomorrow, I can do that. How do I do that? I love logistics.
Foreclosure, repossession, garnishment. Costello and Farah can fight for you.
Are creditors threatening to take your property or your money? My office has helped thousands of people in the Kansas City area protect their assets through debt reorganization or bankruptcy protection. Call my office at 816-505-HELP and see if we can help you protect your assets and get you back on your feet.
The attorneys of Costello and Farah, lawyers who will fight for you. Call 816-505-HELP today.
At Hy-Vee, your health is what matters most.
That's why we offer hundreds of organic and heart-healthy foods.
Expertise in disease management and over 100 in-store dietitians. We'll customize a diet and exercise program for you and your family. We're your personal health team, here to keep you healthy and happy.
Okay, welcome back to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. And, Coach, we're going to talk a little bit about that depth issue. I've had an opportunity, and I kind of related to Missouri and the SEC. You guys go into Division II. I did get the opportunity, which I don't very often. I watched the Northwest Emporia State game. And the thing I noticed in the same level, Division II, but being a Northwest guy, I follow it quite a bit, in the Pitt States and the Missouri Westerns and all that. The difference I see where we're at right now is depth.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean the kids we have that are young are not going to be players.
Right.
It means that they have to kind of work in, mature physically, and also mentally, and understand the game itself.
Yeah, it's it's funny. We're the head coach at University of Indianapolis and I have become pretty good friends here the last couple of years, and we're standing talking in pregame a couple of weeks ago, and he knows about our injury situation. He saw the two deep and said, it looks like you got about 10 starters that aren't here. And I said, yeah, we're traveling about 50 right now, and there's this many guys on defense. And I said, it's frustrating at times. He said, Coach, and I talked to him about, we want to get to a point from a depth standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, from a maturity standpoint, where they are. I mean, maturity, playing with juniors, redshirt juniors, redshirt
older people on the field,
seniors, and your depth being backed up by redshirt juniors and those type of guys. And he said, Coach, we've been doing it at this level pretty good for a whole lot longer than you have. You've got the right the model, and you're going in the right direction. It's just nothing happens overnight, and especially alluded to depth and injuries and those type of things. The unfortunate thing, the positive thing about having a young team is that you have a young team, and there's some good players in that group that we talk about a lot. And the unfortunate thing about that is when you have a young team, your depth is young as well. So you have injuries, you have 8, 9, 10 starters get hurt.
Right. That's to my point.
You're backing those guys up with you're backing up those freshmen and sophomores with freshmen and sophomores, not juniors and seniors. So now you're stepping in with young guys again who who are not only young but are inexperienced and given a lot of effort, and it's not their fault. They just haven't played college football before and had the reps, and so that's a very good analysis on your part. You've seen it, and I've seen it too. I've been in that conference, the MIAA conference, for a lot of years in my coaching career and played in that conference. And when teams take for example a team like Emporia State, that coach has been there now going into it. This is his 6th season, and they've struggled in some different times, right. And he's trying to build and
they really struggled
retool.
Before he got there.
Yeah, and he gets there now, and he's in his 6th season now, where he's got his redshirt juniors and redshirt sophomores, 4th and 5th year players, and they start the season 8-0. Right. There's a lot of things that go into building a program, and there's a lot of different,
Well, one thing is patience,
Absolutely.
Which is so hard for everybody to do.
It is, because we're all fans, and I'm no different. I'm a fan, just like everybody else when I'm watching, whoever my team is, and across football or basketball or whatever sport you want to talk about. We're all fans, and we live in a society of instant gratification, mm-hmm. and everything we do is now. It's all at your fingertips, and why can't it happen now? And I get it, and I also get from where I sit that it's a process, and excited about where we're going with it. Would I love to change the record we're at right now? Sure. Who wouldn't want to be 9 or 10-0 right now? Everybody in the country. Reality is there's only a handful of folks that are, and the rest of us are trying to get there.
Well, don't you think a football coach at any level, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, you have to have a vision for your program?
Absolutely.
And as long as you're moving toward the end of that vision, mm-hmm. and you're making progress to that, I think the key thing is, are you getting better? And under the circumstances, you've got to take in injuries, your depth level, where you're at. And when you're starting from scratch, you jump from NAIA to Division II. That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
I know you'll appreciate this. We talked about this on another radio show I did this morning, that I have people come up and say, such and such high school team could be such and such college team. No way.
Yeah.
People just don't get it. And you know what? It's the same way with Division II trying to play 1AA.
Yeah.
Big difference. 1AA playing Division I, big difference. I watched the LSU-Alabama game. Close to a pro game, but it wasn't a pro game.
Yeah, well, and you see those games happen throughout the year, and you see once every 5-10 years a 1AA beat a Division I. But what nobody thinks about is how many hundreds of games have happened in that period of time.
99.9%.
Exactly. So and we're all going to live in. If I'm a fan from a high school team that's really good, and I'm going to live in that world, and we're all going to think the people that we follow and the people that we believe in are invincible. Right. That's part of what makes athletics great, and the surrounding around athletics in our country and across the world. We're fanatical about who we believe in, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but reality sometimes escapes people in those situations, and that's all right. That just says you're really passionate about your team, and that's that you can't fault anybody for that.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more philosophical football here in the next segment of Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road. We'll be right back with you.
That comes with maturity. That comes with playing plays at that speed for a longer period of time.
I'm going to change the world. I've got computers, I've got financing, I've got clients. I've got a business plan, I have VC money, I've got a game-changing idea. I've given myself room to grow. We're dangerous, very dangerous. This is only the beginning. I'm going to own the future. There's just one problem. I don't know how to print this.
Professional printing.
Help.
And everything else a small business needs, now at the UPS store.
I love logistics.
Who's serving up a big breakfast this weekend?
On an endless buffet, a juicy steak.
Don't flip out.
Only Golden Corral would include steak for breakfast. It's on our endless weekend breakfast buffet, all for a great low price. Only at Golden Corral.
Welcome back to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road. And Coach, we got to talk about the defense, and we got to talk about special teams, because from the day one when we came in, I said, Coach, we got 3 areas. It's the third, and we're going to start talking a little bit about the defense. And you are just have so many injuries. I mean, you're decimated with injuries on the D. And I can say that you can on the air, but I can't. And it makes it a little difficult. But you are. Here's the positive. Here's the good on the rainbow now. You get a lot of young guys that are getting a lot of experience.
There is, absolutely. There's a lot of guys in there that haven't played a lot of snaps, and that's a good thing for us going forward. We're beat up on defense, but we're putting 11 guys out there, and we've got to execute better on that side of the ball right now. And
what do you mean by that, Coach? Why don't you explain that a little bit?
Making sure we're in the right gaps.
Right.
I discipline,
young guys.
I discipline in man coverage. Not just young guys, but old guys as well. We're, part of football is defensively you're going to draw up all your schemes to be gap sound. Offensively, you're going to say you're going to overtake a gap here, overtake a gap there, and that's where the difference is going to lie in the game. And schematically, you can sit there and say, hey, you need to be this and need to be that, and we've just got to be those things more often. We can sit in film sessions and guys realize it, and again, but a lot of them, they're seeing different situations that they've never seen at a different speed than they've seen it.
Well, I think that's the real key. This is my question to you. Don't you think that when you have a young group like that have to come in because of injuries, the difference in high school and college, the speed of the game, it's just like I tell everybody, it's, I've been on sidelines in the NFL, working for the Chiefs and stuff. It's amazing how fast those human beings hit and how quick they get there. And each level's like that.
You know what, I really, and that's a great point, I enjoy, and most, this, and maybe a lot of other people do, but I always spend the first half of my August at NFL training camp somewhere, at least have for the last 3-4 years. Right. And what that does for me is it speeds up my processor, because now I'm seeing things really, really fast, offensively, defensively, special teams, and when I come back and watch and coach us or do some other things, especially early in the season, things are a whole lot more clear to me because the speed of the game's a lot different.
Right.
And the speed of the game's different at every level, like you said. And you can talk about it in college football from Division III to Division II to Division I AA to Division I. As you move up the level of competition, the physicalness and the speed of the game increases. And you get to the SEC and places like that, it really increases. So there's a big difference in those areas. And for guys coming straight out of high school or young players who haven't played a lot of snaps of college football, they're going to deal with the same thing, except different for them than me. I'm standing on the sideline observing it, trying to fit it all together. They're having to react to it as the play's happening and making sure they're fitting the right gap, or fitting or running with the receiver, and offensively, offensive line overtaking a guy on zone scheme, or a fullback fitting up a guy on a block, or running backs trying to see the zone scheme cut that much fast, because it happens a whole lot faster. And for some different things with those guys, there's some patience that's involved in it too. And so every position on the field, whether you talk about offense, defense, or special teams, the speed of the game is a big difference on, how successful you are when you have guys that understand the speed and have played in those environments a lot. And for us, one could argue that for all of our players this year, the speed of the game's a lot faster, because we're coming off of, being in NAIA school for a long time, stepping up a level of competition. We've got to get to a point where we're adjusting to the speed of the game. And, you can argue that we have in a lot of situations, and now it's just executing. We started the conversation talking about execution. It's just, I know where I'm supposed to be. I've got to speed my processor up in every phase to make sure I get to that spot.
Yeah, it's real simple. I think that you cannot play at a high level if you think and then play. What you have to do is play.
Exactly.
And it all comes together, and it's hard unless you've really been there a lot. But I guess it's like writing a song. It all comes together. Yep. And really what's hard to really get across to people that are not involved in athletics, you don't know when that's going to take place.
Right. You don't. You usually those things, as you talk about, they come with age. And they come with experience. And all of those things combined. It's funny, you can sit in a room with players as we do every week on Sundays and other times during the week. And, what are you supposed to do here? This. What am I supposed to do here? This. What am I supposed to do here? This. And this is at every level. And it's sitting in NFL meeting rooms, it's the same way. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this.
But a lot
and they
of
can
difference
regurgitate
when it's in the game.
Yeah, but
80,000 people
again,
watching you.
You've got to be able to know it and do it at the speed that the other team's doing it against you. And if you're that much slow or that much unreactive, you've missed it. You've missed a gap, or you've missed a cut, or you've missed a block, or you've missed a catch, or you've missed a coverage, or what have you. You talk about any discipline in the game you want to talk about. It's knowing is only half the battle. Knowing and being and knowing fast enough and processing fast enough to do is the other part of it. And again, that comes with maturity. That comes with playing plays at that speed for a longer period of time. And we're just trying to step on the gas on that and get there quicker. And we have in some situations this year, we haven't in a lot of others, and we're going to continue to work at that.
Well, we'll be back for the last segment, which we'll talk a little bit about Quincy's coming in, and a little bit different opponent than what you played the last 2 weeks, and we'll talk about that. Again, we want to thank UPS at 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. We'll be right back with the last segment.
So we've got to, retrain ourselves on some things that maybe we saw earlier in the season against some folks, and be disciplined in those areas.
What's my motto? Play to win. What's the key? Logistics. It takes planning. Everybody on the same page. Check this out. This is my playbook. Serious business. Right player, right place, right time. Did it at the UPS store. Bam. High five. Color, pictures, charts, graphics. Nice, huh? I love logistics.
It says in the book we should play as a team.
Professional color printing. Now at the UPS store.
At Poor Boy Oil Company, we want to meet people interested in joining our family. Employment benefits include paid vacations, health care, life insurance, and 401k plans. If you are growth-oriented, flexible, focused on high quality, analytical, and have common sense, you have what it takes. If you are interested in exploring a career opportunity with Poor Boy Oil Company, please take a moment to apply online at poorboyoil.com.
Welcome back to Inside the Cardinal Playbook, sponsored by UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road in North Kansas City. Coach, let's talk a little bit about Quincy. That's a 1 o'clock start, last conference game. A little different opponent. You played some pretty solid dogs the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And not that Quincy doesn't have a good football team. I don't mean that at all.
Right.
But a little bit different approach. We might want to talk about what you expect from them offensively and defensively.
They remind me of us a little bit offensively a couple years ago, as we were a new staff and they're a new staff over there, and young quarterback, and just what they're trying to do up front and the personnel groupings and some of those things. It's eerie how similar we are in that area. And defensively, they're a 4-2-5 scheme, which I grew up in that, playing and then coaching for the first 6 or 7 years of my career. It was in that scheme, and it's a very good scheme. Gary Patterson down at TCU has made that one of the best defenses every year in the country, and they understand what they're doing there too, and do a good job of lining up the formations and all those things. They're going to come in here again. Their last game of the season, they got a big win last week, a conference win, and on the road. I think they were at home actually, but got a big conference win. They're going to try and finish out with a win to close the season, just like we are. And the thing for us, it's senior day, and there's a lot of those guys, and all those seniors are real close to me, and it's going to be an emotional day for all of us, as it always is on those type of days, because those guys.
That's part of your family leaving.
Yeah, those guys bleed for you and work hard and give all the effort and discipline things, and you don't want to let them go, but the NCAA says you have to when their eligibility's up. Unfortunately,
can't keep them on contract.
No, you'd like to keep those guys around and just keep going, but. Unfortunately, some of their bodies are telling them that they're done too, as most of ours did when we got done playing.
It was time.
There's a lot of them that we've been duct taping together for several weeks now.
Yeah.
They just keep battling through it, and that kind of fight and that kind of guts. You'll take that every day.
You bet. again, we look at the end of the season, and we'll talk about that on our last show. But you're right, the emotions are there, and I think that sometimes we lose fact of what's really important: the learning process and the teachable moments that these seniors have provided as far as leadership for your entire squad.
Absolutely, I wouldn't trade that group. You know, those guys have been with me since we took the job here and with us as a coaching staff, and you know, been loyal and worked hard and done the things we've asked them to do, and you know. I'm gonna miss them a lot.
Yeah, it really is a tough time when you have to do that and have to move down the road. Now, offensively, we're looking at Quincy. Are we looking at a spread? Or we're looking at power game?
You know, they'll get in some 11 personnel sets and throw the ball a little bit and a little bit of run game out of it as well. But it's more two-back formation type stuff and downhill run scheme, zone scheme, a little bit of power, and you know, it's stuff that they've been doing all year and they're pretty darn good at. So. We'll have to. It's a little bit of a shift in gears for us as far as trying to defend them because of what we've been seeing the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
We've seen a sprinkling of 21 personnel, 2-back, 1 tight end sets, but more of it's been the 1-back check with me stuff at the line of scrimmage and so we've got to retrain ourselves on some things that maybe we saw earlier in the season against some folks and be disciplined in those areas because what they do. They're going to keep pounding at you until you break, and then they'll break a long run, and you got to try and make sure you get it down. So, you know, it'll be a challenge for us again this week. Where we're at right now as a football team with our health situation and other things, you know, we've got to prepare to be our best each week, and every single opponent we play right now is going to be a big challenge, and you know. We're going to put the game plan together, and we're going to go out and execute it and plan on winning our senior game at home.
You bet, and that's the way to go after. You know, it goes right back to what we talked about, though, at the beginning of the year when you're trying to build a program like this, and you might not have as many bullets in the gun as you'd like because you are developing young people. Right. But you can't turn it over. And you've got to play good specialty teams. Now, in that last segment, we usually talk about specialty teams, you know, but I think those two areas, don't turn it over, and good specialty teams can help you on Saturday.
Hey, what I've been really impressed with us is, as we talked about in a couple prior shows, is that your special teams, usually it's made up a lot of defensive players.
Right.
And we've continued to play well in special teams and plug the guys in there, even with, you know, being down 6, 8, 10 guys defensively, defensive players that are usually frontline guys for us. And you know, we were good in a lot of areas again on Saturday. Kickoff return wasn't as good as it's been, but our punt coverage and some other stuff was maybe a little bit better. So, you know, we didn't lose the game on special teams on Saturday. I know that for sure. And we need to have another good game and continue to have a good game with that streak this coming Saturday.
Well, hopefully everybody will be there to close out the season against Quincy at 1 o'clock. And don't forget the Cork and Brew right after the ball game. That's our last Cork and Brew. I really enjoy the Cork and Brew. That's a good place.
Hopefully going down there and celebrating a win.
Yeah, definitely in with the win. You know, that put a great taste in you guys' mouth literally for the entire year, and also will help with recruiting. Again, I hope all the Cardinal fans will be there and support these kids. Like I said, it's senior night. I know there'll be a lot of parents from all over the country. They'll come in. And we need to support those kids. They've worked hard and done a great job here at William Jewell. We hope to see all of you at the game. Again, we want to thank UPS, 5510 Northeast Antioch Road, North Kansas City for their support, and we'll see you at the ball game at 1 o'clock on Saturday.